Avoiding Doomsday: How to Neutralize Downers on Your Team to Ensure Organizational Survival. Abstract. This article examines how negatively biased employees, or downers, can undermine organizational motivation, productivity and long-term survival if left unaddressed. Drawing from over a decade of consulting and research experience, the author analyzes literature establishing the problematic effects of negativity at the individual, team and organizational levels. A framework is then provided for leaders to properly diagnose problematic dispositional styles and apply a multi-pronged strategy to curb negativity's spread and corrosive impacts. Specific tactics covered include leading by positive example, fostering a supportive climate, delivering direct yet caring feedback, separating negative influences, and providing stress release outlets. These prescriptions are brought to life through a case study example. The goal is to equip leaders with an evidence-based understanding and applied toolkit to neutralize downers and safeguard organizational resilience. As seasoned consultants and academics, we've seen our fair share of organizational challenges over the years. However, one threat persists in undermining even the most promising ventures: the dreaded downer. These negatively biased colleagues can spread like a virus, jeopardizing an organization's motivation, productivity, and ultimately its survival. Yet with proper care and handling, downers need not be the downfall of a promising enterprise. Today we will explore a framework and specific tactics leaders can employ to mitigate downers at work, while strengthening broader organizational resilience. Woven throughout are real-world stories and examples that bring these concepts to life. The perils of pessimism: research on the effects of negativity. A wealth of research establishes that negativity dramatically impacts individuals, teams and organizations. Amabile and Kramer, 2011. George and Brief, 1992. Heafy and Dutton, 2008. Peterson and Steen, 2002. West et al. 2009. At the individual level, pessimistic people tend to interpret ambiguous events negatively, undermine their own performance and productivity through a self-fulfilling cycle of lowered expectations. Berger and Palmer, 1992. Peterson and Steen, 2002. Negativity also spreads socially, as downbeat dispositions have been shown to transfer interpersonally and infect others over time. Anderson et al. 2003. Fowler and Christakis, 2010. Totterdell, 2000. As one downer transfers their negative affect, cognitions and behaviors to colleagues, it translates to lowered well-being, morale and motivation across the board. Barshade, 2002. West et al. 2009. Perhaps most troubling for organizations, the collective accumulation of individual negativity hampers team and unit-level functioning. Crawford, 2014. Heafy and Dutton, 2008. Liu et al. 2015. Van Emmerich et al. 2010. By dampening cooperation, information sharing, and flexibility needed for optimal unit performance, the net result is compromised productivity, decision-making quality, and innovation potential. Amabile and Kramer, 2011. George and Brief, 1992. In their seminal research, Amabile and Kramer, 2011, found that simple everyday interactions and social dynamics within organizations have an outsized impact on inner work life, motivation and ultimately measurable business outcomes, with negativity bias to spread in a downward spiral manner. Even one downbeat employee left unchecked presents considerable risks for broader organizational effectiveness, resilience and survival. Diagnosing and classifying doomsday dispositions to effectively address downers on your team. It is first important to properly diagnose the scope and types of negativity at play. While there is certainly a spectrum to pessimism, research points to a few core dispositional styles that are particularly problematic in organizations: chronic complainers, employees perpetually highlighting what's going wrong, finding fault in colleagues and lamenting lack of resources. Complaints tend to lack constructive solutions and come across as primarily venting frustration. Chronic critics, hypercritical of others' work and ideas through a negative lens of scrutiny. Constant criticisms come across as personal attacks rather than helpful feedback. Chronic cynics hold a negative worldview, seeing the worst in situations and people's motives. Convey a sense that nothing will ever really change for the better. Chronic catastrophizers habitually believe and express that the worst possible outcome will result from any situation or decision. Tend to blow issues out of proportion. Taking time to properly diagnose dispositional styles helps identify which downers may require tougher interventions versus those who could improve with minor adjustments. This informs tailoring ameliorative strategies for maximum impact. Strategies for neutralizing negativity. There is no single silver bullet for addressing downers. However, research and practice point to a multi-pronged framework holding promise to curb corrosive impacts over time. 1. Lead by positive example. As leaders, we must model the optimistic, solution-focused behaviors we want to cultivate. This helps reset social norms and counterbalance negativity spreading within teams. Avolio and Gardner. 2005. Phelps et al. 2009. Luthans and Avolio, 2009. Some tactics include highlighting progress and successes rather than dwelling on problems, expressing confidence in colleagues' abilities to work through issues, framing challenges constructively as opportunities for growth. 2. Foster a supportive climate, design structures and processes emphasizing positivity, cooperation and growth over criticism and blame. Dutton and Heafy. 2003. Rock, 2009. For instance, recognize colleagues openly for their contributions, solicit input from all team members, respectfully resolve conflicts through compromise versus accusations. 3. Direct feedback with care, have delicate yet direct discussions highlighting how certain behaviors undermine productivity and culture. Take a collaborative, solution-focused approach. Gamble. 2015. Focus on specific concerning actions, not personalities. Express confidence. Optimizing impact is possible with adjustments. Solicit input on ways to improve constructive participation. 4. Separate regularly to diffuse negativity. Research shows toxicity spreads through prolonged exposure and concentrated interactions. Fowler and Christakis. 2010. Totterdell, 2000. Scheduling periodic breaks disrupts contagion pathways. Rotate remote work arrangements to reduce face time. Intermix team assignments and memberships. Periodically encourage informal mingling across departments at social functions. 5. Provide outlets for stress release. Many downbeat behaviors stem from unresolved stresses that fester without release. Brody and Farina. 1977. Lazarus and Folkman, 1984. McGrath, 1970. Channels to vent valid frustrations helpfully include designated wellness times for physical activity or relaxation, employee assistance resources like counseling, open door policy for your ear. As trusted leadership, the key is applying these holistic strategies together dynamically based on periodic assessment. The following section offers a case study demonstrating elements in action. Averting Doomsday at an ad agency. A case study as CEO of a growing boutique ad agency. I faced the challenge of one chronically complaining account manager, Chris, stubbornly raining on colleagues' parades. While talented, Chris' constant griping left the team drained and clients frustrated with perceived issues. After diagnosing underlying stressors were longer hours and uncertain career pathing aggravating everyday annoyances for Chris, I kicked multiple strategies into gear. First, I led by example, catching colleagues doing good work and focusing our weekly discussions on solutions over problems. I then invested Chris as a mentor for junior staff. building confidence and fostering more positive relationships, offsetting negativity. To create outlets, I instituted Wellness Fridays for remote work or outdoors time, plus training all managers in empathetic listening. When direct feedback was still needed, I had a respectful discussion with Chris highlighting impacts and strategy adjustments versus personal criticisms. We also temporarily divided project teams to limit contagion and give space for fresh starts. Over months, positive changes spread as colleagues reinforced new supportive norms. With reduced stresses and an optimized role, Chris complaints lessened naturally. By bundling tailored approaches, we neutralized a formidable downer to get the agency back on track for continued growth. Concluding thoughts: when left unchecked, downbeat dispositions threaten even the most promising ventures by infecting motivation, cooperation and performance at their roots. However, as illustrated here, negativity need not spell doom with proactive, evidence-based leadership. By understanding psychological underpinnings, diagnosing problematic styles, and leveraging holistic strategies effectively, leaders hold the power to optimize organizational climates and neutralize downers' corrosive impacts. While neutralization requires diligence and dynamism applied over the long haul. Resources like this essay equip you with both a research foundation and toolbox of tactical options to safeguard your ventures. Rather than treat negativity as an unavoidable disease, approach it as an opportunity to strengthen resilience, further develop your team, and pave the way for continued prosperity. Stay vigilant yet optimistic, remain solution-focused. And with consistent effort, negativity's threats can be kept well under control.